Now, from the humanitarian zone in central Gaza is Sam Rose, Senior Deputy Director of UN Affairs in the Enclave. Sam, thank you for joining us. We were just hearing from Paul Rivera about the damage that has been wrought by this attack, 200 tents, 40 killed, 60 injured. What is your understanding at the moment of the situation in this camp, the Al-Mawazi camp, and how many people have in fact been injured and killed?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. Look, we're hearing the same devastating, horrifying reports as you are. We're seeing the footage. We've not been able to confirm it, with our own eyes, but we believe that, yet again, this was another attack on an area that civilians had been ordered to evacuate to and where they would be safe. So absolutely horrifying incident based on what we're seeing from the footage that's coming through and what we're hearing from colleagues on the ground. And if you try and picture the area, these are the most crowded surroundings you could imagine. There's barely room to walk in between tents that are crowded onto beaches. It was late at night. Colleagues heard what they believe were the strikes, and just absolutely devastating. No way whatsoever that the civilians in these areas were able to protect themselves from what yet again was a completely unannounced attack in an area that civilians had been ordered to evacuate to for their own safety. Absolutely devastating, unfortunately.
Yeah. So as far as you're aware, there was no forewarning of this attack from your colleagues who were close to the area that came under attack?
Not that we're aware of, and it wouldn't be the first time that there hasn't been a warning. Can't confirm it absolutely, but no, certainly not that we're aware of. And this is, as I say, just the latest in a series of incidents that are becoming so frequent they've become normal, but they're anything but normal for the people in these areas. Half the population of Gaza is under 18. Some of the people in those camps were precisely the same children who were being vaccinated by their parents just a couple of days ago. They go home and then all of a sudden hell breaks loose yet again. Absolutely devastating what's happened.
And as Paula was saying, this is not the first time a safe zone has been hit. It's not the first time the Al-Mawazi camp has been hit. How many more humanitarian so-called safe zones are there for people to evacuate to? And how functional, how important was this particular camp that got hit?
We should dispel ourselves of the notion of a safe zone. As we've seen through this incident and previous incidents, nowhere is safe for anyone right now in Gaza. There is about 85% of the Gaza Strip that is not currently subject to evacuation orders. So this is a small, overcrowded parcel of land on the beach in sand dunes with no infrastructure, very limited availability to provide services, protect families from the elements, people living in tents under plastic sheets that, from what we can hear, just disappeared beneath the ground. Either they were hit directly or those in the surrounding areas just got swallowed up by the bomb damage.
The pursuit of Hamas commanders has been very deadly for Palestinians. And I just wonder what you make of the claim here that Hamas had an operational centre in the middle or based in and around this humanitarian camp. Do you know that to be true? And what do you make of the kind of repetitive attacks to root out Hamas leaders among humanitarian areas?
I can't confirm or deny this specific incident. We're a humanitarian organization. We don't get involved. What I can say is perhaps three things. One is that there are rules of war, rules around how wars are prosecuted in relation to principles of distinction between civilian character of certain areas and military character of certain areas. And we call on both sides and all parties to the conflict to adhere to those principles. There are also principles of precaution and distinct proportionality and precaution that require that all efforts be taken to reduce, to minimize to an absolute minimum any civilian loss of life. It would appear in this incident that yet again those principles had not been adhered to, and yet again we will call for a full investigation into what happened. And thirdly, the only way this will come to an end is if there is a ceasefire, a cessation, complete cessation of hostilities, release of hostages, and people can start rebuilding. Otherwise, there will be more and more and more of these incidents. And what can we say? What more can we do except to say that this really has to come to an end?
On Monday, your UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said that the level of suffering in Gaza is incomparable to anything he's ever seen. Have you ever seen this level of death and destruction? And what is the feeling among the Palestinian people at this point, where there apparently seems to be no end in sight, no ceasefire yet on the horizon?
Yeah, look, people here feel abandoned by the world that's watching this play out on a daily basis. They feel humiliated and helpless through what they're being forced to endure on a daily basis. They carry on as best that they can, but this is no way for anyone to live. There are a few parallels in recent history in terms of the extent and the pace of killing, the pace of destruction, the pace of evacuation and displacement that we've seen in Gaza over the past 12 months. And sadly, it's just continuing. Certainly as UNRWA, we have never seen anything like it. But more importantly and more devastating is that the population on the ground have had to go through this, and they're dealing with the immediate consequences, trying to secure a safe place to sleep, water to wash, food to eat, but they've also got the longer term consequences in terms of their families, communities, society that has been ripped apart, people with life-changing injuries, with life-changing mental health consequences, and they have nowhere to live, and they're losing hope that the world just seems unable or unwilling to do anything about it. And that's the questions, and these are the issues that are being put to us on a daily basis. And sadly, we're running out of answers. And
running out of time, it seems. Sam Rose, we really appreciate you joining us, giving us your thoughts on this today. Thank you. All right.